with age, but with silent inflammation building inside your body. Many people assume fatigue, body aches, or mental fog are simply part of getting older or living a busy life. However, modern health research suggests that a hidden biological process called chronic inflammation may quietly influence how people feel day to day. Inflammation itself is not a bad thing. In fact, it is one of the body's most important defense systems. When you cut your finger or catch a virus, your immune system sends inflammatory signals to protect the body and begin the healing process. But the challenge begins when that response stays active for too long. Instead of turning off after the problem is solved, low-grade inflammation can continue in the background like a smoke alarm that keeps ringing even when there is no fire. Over time, this constant alert state can place stress on different systems in the body, including energy regulation, metabolism, and the immune system. Organizations such as the National Institutes of Health, NIH, describe chronic inflammation as a long-lasting immune response that may occur when the body faces repeated triggers such as poor sleep, highly processed foods, chronic stress, or lack of movement. Instead of responding to a single injury or infection, the immune system continues releasing signaling chemicals that keep tissues slightly irritated. According to educational summaries provided by the Harvard Medical School through its Harvard Health Publishing resources, long-term inflammation has been studied in connection with many common health concerns such as cardiovascular strain, metabolic imbalance, and persistent fatigue patterns. These organizations emphasize that inflammation itself is not always visible or immediately noticeable. A person may simply feel off, low on energy, or mentally drained without realizing that their immune system has been working over time. One way researchers explain this concept is by comparing inflammation to a security system in a building. When an intruder enters, the alarm sounds to alert everyone and activate protection measures. That response is helpful and necessary, but imagine if the alarm continued ringing every hour even when no intruder was present. Eventually, the constant noise would disrupt daily life and strain the system itself. In the human body, chronic inflammation behaves in a similar way. The immune system remains on alert even when no immediate threat exists, which can influence how cells communicate with each other. Research databases like PubMed, which compiles peer-reviewed biomedical studies, contain thousands of scientific papers exploring how inflammatory signals interact with metabolism, brain function, and energy balance. Many of these studies examine molecules known as cytokines and other immune messengers that help cells coordinate their responses. When these signals remain elevated for long periods, they can influence how efficiently the body manages energy and recovery. This helps explain why people experiencing chronic inflammation sometimes report symptoms like sluggishness, stiffness after inactivity, or difficulty maintaining consistent energy throughout the day. It is also important to understand that chronic inflammation is rarely caused by one single factor. Public health organizations such as the World Health Organization and health systems like the Cleveland Clinic emphasize that lifestyle patterns play a major role in how the body regulates inflammation. Sleep quality, nutrition patterns, psychological stress, and physical activity levels all influence how the immune system behaves. When several of these factors are out of balance at the same time, inflammatory signals may remain active longer than necessary. This is why researchers often study inflammation not just through medications or isolated nutrients, but through broader lifestyle patterns that shape how the body maintains internal balance. Turmeric has become widely recognized in modern wellness culture, often praised for its potential role in supporting the body's natural inflammatory response. The key compound in turmeric is curcumin, a naturally occurring polyphenol that has been studied for its interaction with certain cellular signaling pathways related to inflammation. However, while turmeric can be a valuable part of a balanced diet, researchers and health organizations often emphasize that its effects depend heavily on how it is consumed and how it fits into a person's overall lifestyle. Many people assume that adding turmeric powder to meals occasionally or taking a supplement automatically leads to meaningful changes in the body, but the scientific discussion around turmeric is more nuanced than that. According to educational resources from the National Institutes of Health, Curcumin has been studied for its ability to interact with inflammatory pathways in cells. These pathways involve complex molecular signals that regulate how the immune system responds to stress, injury, or infection. Curcumin appears to influence certain proteins and enzymes that are involved in inflammatory signaling, which is why it has attracted attention in nutritional research. However, scientists also point out that curcumin has relatively low natural absorption in the human body when consumed by itself. This means that only a small amount may actually enter the bloodstream after digestion. For this reason, many studies explore combinations of curcumin with other compounds or dietary fats that may improve its absorption. Health education platforms like Harvard Medical School, through Harvard Health Publishing, often explain that the benefits associated with turmeric are best understood within the context of broader dietary patterns. Rather than focusing on a single ingredient, researchers usually examine dietary approaches that include a variety of plant foods, healthy fats, whole grains, and balanced nutrient intake. This approach reflects the idea that inflammation is influenced by the combined effect of many lifestyle factors rather than by one superfood. For example, a person who consumes turmeric but also regularly eats large amounts of ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and highly processed oils may not experience the same benefits that appear in research studies. Healthcare institutions such as the Cleveland Clinic also highlight the importance of considering how daily habits influence inflammation. Sleep quality, physical activity, stress management, and dietary balance all play roles in regulating the immune system. When these factors are out of alignment, inflammatory signals can remain active in the body for longer periods. In this context, turmeric alone cannot compensate for an overall lifestyle pattern that places stress on the body's regulatory systems. This is why experts frequently encourage a broader perspective that focuses on long-term habits rather than quick nutritional solutions. Another important point discussed in scientific literature available through databases like PubMed is that research on nutritional compounds often takes place under controlled laboratory conditions. Scientists may isolate a compound such as curcumin and examine how it interacts with specific cellular pathways in experimental settings. While these studies are valuable for understanding biological mechanisms, real-world health outcomes depend on complex interactions within the human body. Diet, genetics, environment, and daily routines all influence how nutrients behave once they are consumed. Because of this complexity, public health organizations such as the NHS emphasize balanced eating patterns rather than relying heavily on individual ingredients. A diet that includes diverse whole foods, such as vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and healthy sources of protein, creates a nutritional environment that supports the body's regulatory systems more effectively than focusing on one spice or supplement. Turmeric can certainly be part of a healthy dietary pattern, especially in traditional cuisines where it is used regularly alongside other nutrient-rich foods. However, the broader scientific message is that long-term lifestyle habits play a much larger role in shaping how the body manages inflammation and overall health. The food category that frequently appears in discussions about inflammation and long-term health is fatty fish that naturally contains omega-3 fatty acids. Examples include salmon, sardines, mackerel, and similar cold water fish. These foods have been studied for many years because they contain two important omega-3 fatty acids called EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Unlike some plant-based omega-3 sources that must be converted by the body before use, EPA and DHA are already in forms the body can utilize more directly. Researchers often examine these nutrients because they participate in biological processes that help regulate how the immune system responds to stress, injury, and environmental triggers. Educational resources from the National Institutes of Health explain that omega-3 fatty acids are essential fats, meaning the human body cannot produce them on its own, and they must be obtained through diet. Once consumed, these fats become part of cell membranes throughout the body, including those in the brain, heart, and immune system. Because cell membranes play a role in cell communication and signaling, The types of fats present in those membranes can influence how cells respond to inflammatory signals. When omega-3 fatty acids are incorporated into these membranes, they can help support balanced communication between cells and immune pathways. Research summaries published through databases like PubMed show that omega-3 fatty acids are involved in the production of signaling molecules, sometimes called lipid mediators. These molecules help guide the body's inflammatory response. In simple terms, they help the immune system know when to activate and when to calm down after a threat has been addressed. Scientists often describe this process as the resolution phase of inflammation, which is when the body transitions from an active defense response back toward normal balance. EPA and DHA contribute to the formation of specialized molecules involved in this resolution process, which is one reason they are frequently studied in relation to inflammation. Health education platforms such as Harvard Medical School through Harvard Health Publishing discuss omega-3 fatty acids in the context of broader dietary patterns associated with long-term wellness. For example, dietary styles such as the Mediterranean diet naturally include fish, vegetables, olive oil, whole grains, and legumes. Researchers studying these patterns often observe that people who follow them tend to consume higher amounts of omega-3 fatty acids and lower amounts of certain processed fats that may influence inflammatory pathways differently. This combination of nutrients creates an overall environment that supports the body's regulatory systems rather than overwhelming them with conflicting signals. Medical organizations like the Cleveland Clinic also highlight that fatty fish provides more than just omega-3 fats. These foods contain high-quality protein, vitamin D, selenium, and other nutrients that contribute to overall health. When included as part of balanced meals, they help provide a diverse nutritional profile that supports metabolic function and cellular repair. This broader nutrient package may help explain why whole foods are often emphasized in nutrition research instead of focusing exclusively on isolated compounds. It is also important to understand that omega-3 intake is only one piece of the larger nutritional picture. Many modern diets contain higher amounts of omega-6 fatty acids from refined vegetable oils and processed foods. While omega-6 fats are also essential and play important roles in the body, researchers often study the balance between omega-3 and omega-6 intake. According to information shared by the World Health Organization and other public health institutions, maintaining a balanced intake of different types of dietary fats may help support the body's natural regulatory systems. When omega-3 rich foods like fatty fish are included regularly within an overall balanced diet, they contribute to a nutritional pattern that helps the body manage inflammatory responses more effectively. Inside the human body, inflammation operates through a complex communication network that allows cells and immune components to coordinate their responses. When the body encounters a threat, such as an infection, injury, or environmental stress, immune cells release chemical messengers that signal other cells to respond. These signals often include molecules called cytokines, prostaglandins, and other inflammatory mediators. Their purpose is to recruit immune cells to the affected area, increase blood flow, and help tissues begin the repair process. In the short term, this process is protective and necessary for survival. However, scientists have observed that if these signals remain elevated for long periods, the immune system can remain in a prolonged alert state that influences normal cellular activity. Educational resources from the Harvard Medical School explain that these inflammatory signals act like messages sent between cells. When tissues detect stress or damage, they release molecules that tell the immune system to respond quickly. Once the threat has been handled, the body normally shifts toward what researchers call the resolution phase of inflammation. During this phase, specific biochemical signals help quiet the immune response and guide tissues back toward balance. If this resolution phase does not occur properly, low-level inflammation may continue circulating through the body. This is why scientists often focus not only on how inflammation begins, but also on how the body turns it off. Research available through the biomedical database PubMed describes how omega-3 fatty acids play a role in this resolution process. When omega-3 fats, such as EPA and DHA, are present in the body, they can be converted into specialized lipid mediators that help regulate inflammatory pathways. These molecules, sometimes referred to in research literature as specialized pro-resolving mediators, are involved in signaling immune cells to slow down inflammatory activity once the initial defense response has done its job. In simpler terms, they help guide the immune system from an active defense state back to a balanced resting state. This process is important because the body needs a controlled way to shut down inflammation after it has served its purpose. Information from the National Institutes of Health explains that dietary fats influence the structure of cell membranes throughout the body. Cell membranes are not just protective barriers, they also function as communication hubs that determine how signals enter and leave a cell. The types of fats that make up these membranes can influence how easily inflammatory signals are produced and transmitted. When omega-3 fatty acids are incorporated into these membranes, they may influence how certain signaling molecules are formed. This does not stop inflammation completely, because the body still needs to respond to real threats, but it may help support a more balanced response. Healthcare institutions such as the Cleveland Clinic also emphasize that the effectiveness of these biological processes depends heavily on overall lifestyle conditions. Sleep quality, psychological stress, and physical activity all influence how immune signaling behaves. For example, chronic sleep deprivation has been associated in research with increased levels of inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. Likewise, prolonged psychological stress can stimulate hormones that keep immune responses activated longer than necessary. These factors demonstrate why scientists rarely examine nutrition in isolation when studying inflammation. Public health organizations like the World Health Organization note that balanced lifestyle patterns, regular physical movement, adequate sleep, stress management, and diverse nutrition help maintain the body's regulatory systems. When these elements work together, the immune system is better able to activate inflammation when needed and resolve it when the threat has passed. This coordinated regulation of inflammatory signals is a central focus of modern health research as scientists continue to explore how diet, environment, and daily habits interact with the body's natural defense mechanisms. Food choices certainly play an important role in supporting overall health. But scientific research consistently shows that nutrition works most effectively when it is part of a broader lifestyle pattern. The human body functions as an interconnected system where sleep, physical activity, stress levels, and daily habits influence how nutrients are used and how the immune system behaves. Because inflammation is regulated by many biological signals at once, researchers often study how these lifestyle factors work together rather than examining food in isolation. When people focus only on a single superfood while ignoring sleep patterns, stress management, or physical movement, they may miss the larger set of conditions that allow the body to maintain balance. Public health organizations such as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention emphasize that regular physical activity is one of the most important lifestyle behaviors for maintaining overall health. Movement helps regulate circulation, supports metabolic function, and allows muscles to use energy more efficiently. When the body moves regularly, it can influence how immune cells circulate and communicate with different tissues. Research summarized in scientific databases like PubMed has explored how moderate physical activity may influence inflammatory markers by supporting metabolic balance and reducing prolonged stress signals in the body. This does not mean that intense exercise is required. Even simple daily movement such as walking, stretching, or light recreational activities contributes to maintaining healthy physiological rhythms. Sleep is another critical factor that researchers repeatedly highlight when studying inflammation. Educational resources from the National Institutes of Health explain that sleep allows the immune system to regulate its activity and perform essential maintenance functions. During deep sleep, the body releases hormones that support tissue repair and immune coordination. When sleep is regularly shortened or disrupted, the body may produce higher levels of certain inflammatory signaling molecules. Over time, this can influence how the immune system responds to everyday stressors. Because of this relationship, scientists often view sleep as one of the foundational elements of health alongside nutrition and physical activity. Stress management is equally important because psychological stress can activate hormonal pathways that interact with immune responses. According to information shared by the World Health Organization, chronic stress may influence the release of hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. While these hormones are essential for short-term survival responses, prolonged activation may affect how immune cells communicate and regulate inflammation. This is why many health experts encourage strategies that support emotional well-being, including relaxation practices, social connection, and regular breaks from demanding routines. Healthcare institutions such as the Harvard Medical School and the NHS frequently highlight the importance of consistent daily routines. Balanced meals that include vegetables, fruits, whole grains, healthy fats, and quality protein provide the body with diverse nutrients needed for metabolic processes. At the same time, stable sleep schedules and daily movement help synchronize internal biological clocks known as circadian rhythms. These rhythms regulate hormone release, digestion, and immune signaling. When these rhythms become irregular due to inconsistent schedules, frequent late-night activity, or long periods of inactivity, the body's regulatory systems may struggle to maintain equilibrium. Because of these connections, modern health research often focuses on lifestyle patterns rather than isolated behaviors. A balanced routine that combines nutritious food, physical movement, restorative sleep, and effective stress management creates conditions in which the body can regulate inflammation naturally. Each of these elements supports the others, forming an integrated framework that allows the immune system, metabolism, and nervous system to work together efficiently. Long-term health is rarely shaped by a single food, supplement, or short-term change. Instead, research consistently shows that the body responds best to stable lifestyle patterns repeated over time. Inflammation, energy balance, immune function, and metabolic health are influenced by daily routines that interact with each other across months and years. This is why many health researchers emphasize consistency rather than quick solutions. The human body constantly adapts to the environment created by diet, sleep habits, stress levels, and physical activity. When these elements remain relatively stable and supportive, the body's internal regulatory systems are better able to maintain balance. Educational resources from the Mayo Clinic explain that long-term wellness is strongly connected to sustainable habits rather than dramatic lifestyle overhauls. Many people attempt extreme dietary restrictions or rapid lifestyle changes, but these approaches can be difficult to maintain. Over time, the body benefits more from realistic patterns that can be repeated daily, such as balanced meals, regular movement, and consistent sleep schedules. These behaviors support systems such as metabolism, hormone regulation, and immune coordination. Because inflammation is closely connected with these systems, maintaining stability in everyday routines allows the body to manage inflammatory responses more effectively. Information provided by the National Institutes of Health also highlights how nutrition patterns influence the body over long periods. Instead of focusing on isolated nutrients alone, researchers often examine dietary styles such as Mediterranean-style eating patterns, which include fish, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, and healthy fats. These patterns provide a diverse range of nutrients that support cellular repair, metabolic function, and immune balance. Within such dietary frameworks, foods that contain omega-3 fatty acids, such as fatty fish, can contribute to maintaining balanced inflammatory signaling. However, scientists generally emphasize that the overall pattern of eating matters more than a single ingredient. Research discussions compiled in the biomedical database PubMed further explore how inflammation is regulated through complex interactions among immune cells, hormones, and metabolic processes. These studies often show that inflammation does not operate in isolation. Instead, it responds to factors such as sleep quality, physical activity levels, and psychological stress. For example, chronic sleep deprivation may influence inflammatory markers in the bloodstream, while regular moderate exercise has been associated with improved metabolic balance. These relationships demonstrate that inflammation reflects the combined influence of multiple lifestyle elements, rather than one specific dietary component. Public health organizations like the World Health Organization also stress the importance of preventive health strategies that focus on sustainable routines. These strategies include maintaining balanced nutrition, engaging in regular physical activity, supporting mental well-being, and getting adequate rest. When these habits become part of everyday life, they help stabilize many of the biological systems that influence inflammation. The body's immune response is designed to react quickly to threats and then return to normal once the threat has passed. Consistent lifestyle patterns make it easier for the body to complete that cycle efficiently. Healthcare institutions such as Harvard Medical School often describe health as the result of cumulative daily decisions. Small behaviors repeated consistently, such as choosing whole foods, moving regularly, sleeping enough hours, and managing stress, gradually shape how the body functions. Over time, these patterns influence metabolic health, immune activity, and cellular communication. Because inflammation is deeply connected with these systems, a steady lifestyle approach helps maintain the conditions that allow the body to regulate its responses naturally. This perspective highlights why long-term habits are considered one of the most reliable foundations for maintaining